The arrival of the sky above Mars was dark and silent. Only the soft hum of the wind moved across the red sand. Commander Rick stood at the edge of the colony's platform, looking at the stars. He was tired, bored, and hoping for something exciting. But he didn't expect a ship to fall from the sky that night. It came fast, like a fireball, breaking through Mars' thin atmosphere. The ship hit the ground 5 kilometers from their base. The impact shook the colony walls, and alarms started. Ringing, Rick and his team rushed to the control room. Unknown object crashed near Sector 4. The computer said, "No communication, no signal, no ID." Rick gave the order quickly. "Suit up, we're going to check it out." Within minutes, the team was outside, riding in a rover across the red desert. Dust flew in every direction as they reached the crash site. The ship was strange, smooth like glass, glowing faint blue under the moonlight. No windows, no flag, no entry point. "Cut it open," Rick said. The engineer used a plasma tool to slice through the hull. The ship opened like a flower, revealing a single pod inside. Inside the pod was a girl in moving. Glowing softly, she looked human, but different. Her skin was pale with silver lines running through it. Her hair floated slightly, like it didn't follow gravity. And her eyes, half open, were bright blue with spinning circles. "She's alive." The medic whispered, heartbeat low, temperature strange, but alive. They carried her back to the base, placing her in the medical bay. Machines began scanning her, but most results made no sense. As Rick watched her, the girl suddenly opened her eyes. She stared at him for a second, weak and shaking. Then she spoke in a soft voice. "If I don't get clapped, I die." Her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Rick looked at the team, confused. "What did she say?" The medic asked. Rick replied, "I don't know. Something about dying if she doesn't get clapped." The room fell silent. What did clapped mean? Was it a code? A warning? A translation error? Whatever it was, it didn't sound good. Later, the engineer pulled data from the alien pod. Encrypted logs, strange language, corrupted files, but a few videos were visible showing other alien girls in pods. They all looked like her, same glowing skin, same silver veins. In each video, the girl was alone. She woke up, looked around, and slowly stopped moving after a few days. The logs labeled them inactive. Every girl, inactive. Then dead? This one is different. Rick said, watching their new guest. She spoke. "She's alive longer. But why? What made her different?" Suddenly, the lights flickered. The monitors glitched, showing fast images and known symbols. Broken code. The colony AI shut down for 5 seconds before rebooting. System error. Unknown interference detected. The voice said, Rick didn't believe in ghosts, but something was wrong. The alien girl lay still, her body glowing a bit more every time the power glitched. "Is she doing this?" One soldier asked. No one answered. That night, Rick couldn't sleep. He sat by the window, staring at the crashed pod they brought back. What kind of being travels across space, only to die if not clapped? And why were there so many like her? Back in the medical bay, the girl's hand twitched. Her heart rate went up slightly. And outside the colony walls, something moved in the dark. It wasn't human. The wind blew harder, but the sensors showed no storm. The motion detectors blinked red, then off, then back on. Rick was called again to the control room. "Something is out there," the guard said, pointing to the screen. "Ah." Tall shadow walked slowly near the crashed pod, but the cameras couldn't focus. It was like the thing didn't want to be seen. "Arm the turrets," Rick said, "and wake the girl if she held any answers." They had to get them now. Time was running out, and whatever was hunting her might soon hunt them too. The secret of inactive. The alien girl opened her eyes slowly. Bright blue circles in her eyes moved like spinning stars. She blinked, looked around, and saw Commander Rick standing near her bed. The lights above her flickered again, but this time, not from power failure. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice soft. Rick stepped closer, calm but alert. "You're in a medical room, safe. On Mars Colony 7, he replied. "You crashed in a pod, alone. And you said something strange before fainting?" The girl looked confused. I said. She asked. Rick nodded. "You said, if I don't get clapped, I die. What does that mean?" The alien girl sat up slowly, touching her head. "I don't know the right word," she said. "I translated it. But maybe wrong." She closed her eyes and focused. Then she pointed to her chest. "My kind. If not touched, if not connected, we stop living." Rick raised his eyebrows. "You mean emotional connection? Or energy, like food?" She looked down, ashamed. "No, not food," she said. "It's like energy between minds, between feelings. It needs to pass, or we become inactive." Rick glanced at the medic, who stood silently nearby. "So when you said clapped, you meant some kind of bond," Rick said. She nodded slowly. "Yes, bond, connection. Without it, we fade." The girl touched a panel next to her. It sparked with blue light under her fingers. "Too many of us were sent far from home." She whispered, "Without bond, alone, we die in sleep." Rick felt a chill. He thought of the logs, dozens of girls like her, alone in their pods, dying silently. He clenched his jaw. Why would someone do that to your people? She hesitated, then said one word. "Fear." Suddenly, the lights blinked again, harder this time. Screens glitched in the medical bay, and a loud hum vibrated through the walls. The girl's body glowed brighter for a second, then dimmed. Rick grabbed the emergency panel. "What's happening?" he asked the system. "Unknown electromagnetic pulse detected." The AI replied. The girl looked afraid. "They're near." She whispered, "They always come. When one wakes up, who comes?" Rick asked, but before she could answer, alarms began ringing. A soldier's voice came through the comms. "Commander. Motion detected near the wrecks. Something's moving fast." Rick ordered the security team to full alert. He looked at the alien girl. "I need to know your name," he said. She looked up at him and said, "Zira." The medic spoke for the first time. "Commander, one of our crew touched her hand earlier, right?" Rick nodded. The medic showed the bioscan. That crew member's body temperature and heart rate changed slightly, synced with hers. Rick stared at the data. "She's not just feeding from us," the medic continued. "She's also giving something back." "What?" Rick asked. "Not sure yet." But it's not dangerous." Rick turned back to Zira. "If this bond is real, maybe we can help each other." Zira nodded slowly. "But bond is not just touch," she said. "It must be true, real." Before Rick could respond, the lights went out, everything went dark, even emergency backup failed. Complete silence covered the base. Then footsteps, slow, heavy footsteps, echoed through the hallway. A monitor sparked, showing only static. The sound of metal scraping against walls grew louder. Rick pulled his sidearm. He moved toward the hallway, slowly. The medic, staying with Zira, sealed the door, Rick said. The medic locked it, then whispered, "She's shaking." Zira sat with her eyes glowing, tears in them. "If they find me," she said, "they will take my energy and leave only the shell." "What are they?" the medic asked. She looked at the door and said, "They are the ones who made us forget how to bond." Outside, the footsteps stopped. Silence again. Then a whisper came through the speaker, in a voice not human. "Inactive protocol. Begin." Rex heart pounded. He knew then they didn't just send Zira to die. They were still watching her, controlling her fate from the shadows. But now, she wasn't alone. Now she had a chance. Now she had a human. The bonding experiment, the silence in the Mars base felt heavy, like a deep ocean pressing against a glass wall. Rick stood near the sealed door, his weapon ready, his heart beating fast. Outside, there was no sound, not even the wind. Inside, the alien girl Zero sat with her head down, glowing faintly. She looked weaker than before, like her light was fading. She needs help. The medic said quietly. Rick nodded. But help? How? He asked. She had said it herself, without bonding, she would die. But no one fully understood what bonding meant yet. Rick turned to Zira. Tell me what we can do, he asked. Tell us how to help you. Zero looked up, her eyes dimmer. Then before, it must be a real bond, she whispered. Shared thoughts. Shared trust, not forced. The medic tilted her head like emotional energy. Zero nodded. Yes, and not just words, she said. Feelings, memories, truth. Only then I can take it in. Rick took a deep breath. Then let's test it, he said, but safely. The bonding chamber, they moved Zira to a small room. In the science wing, inside, lights were soft. Walls were covered in energy sensors. Rick stood in the center, nervous. The rest of the team watched from behind a glass wall. Rick approached Zira slowly. I'll try, he said. I'll open my mind. You try to connect. Zira gave a small nod. She reached out her hand, glowing slightly. Rick took it. At first, nothing happened. Then, warmth, it was like a gentle wave, moved through his chest. He closed his eyes, and memories began to rise. His father's voice, his mother's laugh, the day he joined the Space Corps. The night he lost 2 crew members in a fire. Zira saw it all, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't just watch, she felt what he felt. Grief, pride, loneliness, hope. Her body began to glow stronger. Machines started beeping, energy levels rising. Her vitals are stabilizing. The medic said through the mic. Rick squeezed her hand gently. It's working, he whispered. The side effects after the session. Rick looked pale. He felt lightheaded, like something had been pulled from him. But he was still alive, still strong. Zero stood taller now, more aware, more human. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to take so much. Rick smiled weakly. It's okay. If it helps you live, it's worth it. But the rest of the crew wasn't so sure. Some of them whispered, she's draining him. What if she gets stronger and turns on us? Are we being used? Rick heard the whispers. Fear was growing. He needed answers before things got worse. The hidden memory later that night. Zira asked to speak to Rick alone. They met in the quiet lab, surrounded by stars outside the window. I want to show you something, she said, from my mind. She placed her hand near his temple, not touching, just close. Suddenly, images flooded his thoughts. Not memories from Earth, but from another world. A planet with tall white towers, blue forests, and twin moons. Zira as a child, running with others like her. Then, darkness, machines, experiments, screaming. Alien girls locked in pods, forced into long sleep. All sent into space, one by one, not to survive, but to disappear. Rick pulled away, shocked. They did this to you? He asked. Zero nodded. We're too powerful, she said, too emotional, too connected. They feared we would rise. A new signal suddenly. The base alarms rang again. A new signal appeared on the radar, another pod, falling fast toward Mars. But this one wasn't the same. It was darker, spinning out of control and sending no distress call. Another one, like Zira. Someone asked. No, said the medic, checking the readings. This one is empty, and it's broadcasting a warning. The signal was simple. Do not bond, do not wake. Let the line end. Rick stared at the screen. What does that mean? Zero looked away. It means someone doesn't want us alive. The decision Rick knew what had to be done. They had found something bigger than one alien girl. This was part of a secret war. A hidden plan, but now humanity was in the middle of it. He turned to his crew. "We will continue the bond," he said. "We help her live. We find the truth, and we protect this colony." Some nodded, some stayed silent, but the choice had been made. Zira stepped forward, stronger now. She looked at Rick. "You saved me." She said, "No." Rick replied, "You saved us too." The invasion clue, the second pod, hit the ground hard. It didn't glow, it didn't hum, it just dropped like something heavy and dead had been thrown from the sky. Rick stood at the observation window, staring at the impact cloud rising in the distance. Zero stood beside him, silent, her face pale and tight with fear. "That's not like mine," she said softly. No energy, no signal came from the pod, no response. Just one repeating sound from its Bicona, slow, flat tone, like a heartbeat. That had already stopped. Rick gave the order. "Gear up, we're going out." The dead pod. The team reached the crash site under the cold light of Mars moons. The pod was twisted, black, cracked open like a broken egg. No signs of life inside. But there were bones, small and thin, wrapped in old silver fabric. "Alien bones. This one didn't make it," the medic said. Rick looked inside and saw something strange. The inside walls were full of scratch marks. Like someone or something had tried to get out. A burned message was written on the inner wall. Not in Earth's language, but Zero gasped when she saw it. It says, "We were not asleep. We were buried." Rick frowned. Buried. Why send a pod if they knew it would kill them? Zero looked up at him, her voice shaking. "They lied to us," she said. "They said we were chosen for survival, to find new homes, but really, they were hiding us, throwing us away." The energy signature back at the base. The engineers found a strange energy pattern inside the dead pod. It didn't match Zara's life energy. It was colder, older, like a shadow. Echo, almost like something was watching through the pod. One technician said, like it had a second purpose to spy or to track. Then a deeper scan revealed something terrifying. There was a beacon hidden in the bones, still blinking. It wasn't sending a rescue call. It was broadcasting coordinates of the Mars base. Rick stared at the data. So this pod. "It wasn't for rescue," he said. "It was a signal flare." Zira stepped back. "They're coming," she whispered. "They always follow the signal." The debatric called a team meeting. The colony was split. Half wanted to keep helping Zira to find the truth. The other half wanted to eject the alien tech. "Abandon the site. They're coming here because of her," one engineer said. "She's a magnet for death." Rick stood up, his voice strong. "She's not the problem," he said. "She's the proof that someone out there is doing something dark. She didn't bring war, we just found a secret someone wanted to bury." Zero looked down. "Feeling guilt, I never wanted to harm anyone," she said. "I just wanted to live." Rick walked over to her. "You deserve that," he said, "and we're not leaving you behind." The drone attacked that night. The base sensors went off. Again, unidentified objects entered Mars' upper orbit. Not ship's drones, fast and sharp, falling like knives from the sky. The defense turrets activated automatically. Blasts lit the sky as the drones hit the surface, small, metallic, and deadly. One drone made it through. Crashing near the lab section, Rick and his team responded fast. The drone had legs like a spider and a single red eye. It scanned every room it passed, ignoring the humans. Until it saw Zira's chamber, then it charged. The crew opened fire, and the drone exploded in a burst of metal and sparks, but not before sending one last signal. Another broadcast, this time to deep space. More coordinates, more data. And something else, Commander, the tech officer said. That drone just uploaded files from inside our base. Someone out there knows everything now. The truth hidden in Diana Thematic ran a deep scan on Zero the next morning. There was something hidden in her DNA, something coded, not just biology information. It was a kind of living data, crystal millions of years of memory, locked inside her blood. That's why they want her dead. Rick said. She doesn't just carry energy, she carries history. Zero stood silently, realizing the truth. I am a library, she whispered. Everything they erased from our world. It still lives in me. Rick nodded. And that means you're not just a survivor. You're the last witness. The countdown. The base received a final signal. Short, clear, cold. A message from deep space in Earth language. Do not protect the inactive, or Earth will be next. Rick looked at the message, then at his team. We're not standing down. He said, we're going to unlock what's inside her memory. Whatever secrets they tried to hide, it ends here. Zero took his hand. Her glow steady and warm. Then we begin, she said, before they arrive and high above Mars. Far beyond the sky, dark ships move through the black silence of space, coming closer. The betrayal. The Mars base was quiet, but it wasn't peaceful. People walked slower now. Their eyes tired, their minds full of questions. Everyone had seen the message. Do not protect the inactive, or Earth will be next. Commander Rick sat in the control room, watching the stars outside. He knew war was coming, but he didn't know when. Zero sat beside him, silent, her glow now calm but steady. She was no longer just a girl from a broken pod. She was the last key to a hidden history. And someone wanted to destroy that key. The memory download begins. The engineers built a chamber for the bond transfer. If Zero was a living library, they had to unlock her memories. Rick volunteered to begin the full sync. He had already bonded once. It nearly drained him. But this time, they would do it slowly, with control, as Rick lay inside the chamber. Zero touched his hand again. Her glow became brighter, her energy flowing like water. Rick saw flashes, whole cities floating in the air, alien children playing near, glowing rivers, and then machines, chains, screaming, silence, a war, a shutdown, and exile. But right as the images grew clear, everything froze. The machines shut down, screens went black. Then alarms began to ring again. System interference, the AI warned. Unauthorized access detected. The hidden hands. Someone inside the base had just copied data from the memory chamber. Rick sat up, still dizzy. Who did this? He shouted. Security rushed to seal the base, but it was too late. A signal had already been sent out to space. Zira held her chest, her light flickering. Someone touched my core memory, she whispered. It was pulled out to fast hit. Hertz. The data logs showed the access point. It came from inside the tech wing. And it was someone Rick trusted. L.T. Harris, the man who had served with Rick for 5 years. Quiet, loyal, calm under pressure. But now, missing from his station, the confrontation. Rick and 2 soldiers moved through the dark hallways. Weapons ready, eyes sharp. They found Harris in the communications bay, uploading data into a private channel. The channel wasn't Earthsit. Was unknown? Cold? Alien? Harris. Rick shouted. The man froze. Then he slowly turned. I had to, Harris said. His eyes tired. They contacted me weeks ago. Even before she arrived, Rick stepped forward. Who are they? They call themselves the Cleaners, Harris said. They erase what should not exist. They keep the galaxy in balance. They told me the inactive are dangerous, that their memories are weapons. Rick's voice was low, but sharp. You betrayed your people. No, Harris said. I saved them. If we keep her here, Earth will be the next target. Rick raised his weapon. You don't get to decide who lives or dies. But Harris smiled. You're too late, he said. They already received her location. Suddenly, the wall shook. Explosions hit near the base perimeter. The first wave had arrived. Zira's pain back in the lab. Zero collapsed to her knees. Her energy flickered. Her skin dimmed. The stolen memory had taken more than just information, it had taken part of her life. The bond was broken, incomplete, and now unstable. The medic rushed to her. You need to rest. No, Zero said. If I rest now, I won't wake up. She closed her eyes and whispered, they're near. I can feel them. They feed on our silence. The choice Rick locked. Harris in the holding cell, the betrayal cut deep. He trusted Harris like a brother. Now that trust was a weapon turned against them. He returned to the control room. A new ship appeared on radar. It was large, black, and slow. Not built for warbot. For collection, they're here to erase her. Rick said, but not fast, not with fire. They want to take her quietly. He turned to the team. We can run, or we can fight. But if we fight, we protect something more than just one alien girl. We protect truth. Signal of Hopaxera stood, weak but still glowing. I can send a counter-signal, she said. One that spreads not just to them, but to others like me, if they hear me. Maybe they'll wake too. Rick nodded. Let's do it. The engineers prepared the transmitter. Zero placed her hand on the core. Her light poured into the system. Her voice entered the stars. The warning grows above Mars. The dark ship paused. It had heard the signal, not just a call, but a song of memory, of loss, of resistance, and out there, in the cold silence, other lights flickered awake. Not inactive anymore, not silent anymore. Humanity's choice, the base, was quiet again. But it wasn't calm. Above the red sky of Mars, the black ship still hovered, silent, unmoving. Watching, it didn't fire, didn't land. Didn't speak, it just waited, like a giant shadow holding its breath. Inside the base, everyone was tense. The engineers worked fast to fix the systems. The soldiers checked their weapons again and again. Rick stood in the command center, staring. At the ship on the screen, Zero sat nearby, wrapped in a thermal blanket. Her glow was weaker than ever, her energy fading. She had sent out a signal call to others like her, but it had cost her strength. Any response yet? Rick asked. The comms officer shook her head. Nothing, just silence. The medical truth in the medbay. The doctor studied Zira's scan. Her body was shutting down, not from wounds, not from injury, but from emptiness. She's slipping, the medic told Rick. She needs bonding energy again soon, but we can't keep draining people like last time. The medic added, it's too risky, even for you. Rick looked at the screen, showing Zira's pulse slow and broken. She doesn't drain. Us, he said quietly. She connects with us, and we feel it. But maybe that connection is what scares them. A secret from the past. Rick sat with Zira later that night. Alone in the bonding room, he looked tired, worn, but calm. I never told you about my sister, he said. Zira looked at him gently, waiting. She died on a supply ship 6 years ago, he continued. Lost in space, no one found her. I kept working, kept leading, but inside. I felt nothing. I didn't bond with anyone after that. Zero touched his hand very lightly. Now you feel again. She said. Rick nodded. Because of you, her eyes filled with tears, glowing softly, then maybe. I did not come here to be saved, she whispered. Maybe I came here to save. The council's vote the next morning. Rick gathered the senior crew. A decision had to be made. The dark ship was still watching, and Earth had gone silent. No. Help was coming. We have two choices, Rick said. 1. We give 0 to them. Maybe they leave us alone. 2. We protect her and prepare for war. The room fell into silence. One by one, they spoke. She's just one alien girl, said the security chief. But what if she's the first of many, said the comms officer, if she holds truth in her memory? Don't we have a duty to protect it? Said the doctor. Then someone asked, is one life worth risking all of ours? Everyone looked to Rick. He didn't blink, he simply said, she's not just one life, she's hope. The message to Earth. Rick recorded a message. He sent it through deep space relay, even if Earth wasn't answering. This is Commander Rick Voss, he began. We've made contact with a being who carries the lost history of an entire race. She was sent here to be erased, but we chose not to erase her. He paused, then added, if you hear this, know that we stood for something greater than fear. We stood for connection, the final bond offered that night. Zira's condition got worse. Her energy was breaking, her body cold. She needed a full bond, one complete sync, mind to mind, soul to soul. But a full bond could be fatal for the human partner. Rick volunteered. The medic tried to stop him. You could die, she warned. Rick looked at Zira and said, I've already lived without feeling. That's not really living. Zira reached for him with shaking hands. Are you sure? Rick smiled. I'd rather die saving someone who matters than live forgetting what matters. They entered the bond chamber. This time, the light was not soft. It was bright, wild, full of sound and color. Rick saw her world, her people, their joy, their fear, their betrayal, and she saw his memories, his pain, his strength. Together, they stood in a shared memory where time didn't exist. Their lights blended, her energy surged, his heart slowed. The outcome outside, the black ship moved for the first time. It sent a signal sharp high frequency. But then, it paused, it scanned the base again, then pulled back. The ship didn't attack. It didn't stay, it left, disappearing into the stars. Inside the bond chamber, the lights dimmed. The doors opened. Rick lay still. Zira knelt beside him, glowing. Bright like a star reborn, she placed her hand over his chest and whispered, You gave me life. Rick opened his eyes. Barely. I'm still here, he whispered. Just tired, she smiled. You are more than human, she said. You are brave. The choice was made. The base was still standing. The threat was not gone forever, but something had changed. They had made a choice, not for war, not for safety, but for truth, and now the truth had a voice. Her name was Zira, and she was no longer inactive. The final clap, the sun rose slowly over the red sands of Mars. But today, something felt different. The air inside the colony was still. Like the world was holding its breath, Zira stood on the roof of the command tower. She was glowing softly, her silver lines pulsing with warmth. She looked peaceful, but her eyes carried storms. Below her, the crew moved quietly, repairing systems, checking radars, waiting. Commander Rick lay in the medbay, breathing steady but shallow. His full bond with Zira had left him weak. The doctor said he might not wake up soon, but his pulse was strong. Something inside him was changing. The awakening signals suddenly. The comm screen blinked. A new signal. Not from Earth, not from the dark enemy. This one came from far away, strange but familiar. The frequency was the same as Zira's pulse. She turned her head quickly. They heard me, she whispered. The others. They're waking. The comms officer boosted the signal. Voices came through, soft, broken, scared. Alien girls like Zira, whispering from across the stars. They were alive, waiting, hiding. Zira smiled, but her face also showed fear. They're not safe yet, she said. If they rise, the cleaners will come again. The return of the shadows, the sky above the base darkened. Sensors showed movement in orbit faster than anything before. 5 enemy ships, sharp like daggers, black as space. They didn't send messages, they didn't warn. They came to erase. "This is it," said the security chief. "We've poked." The beast, Rick, stirred in bed, eyes still closed, his body glowing faintly. Zero turned to the screen, her voice strong now. "Then we don't run. We burn bright." Together, the final plank Sierra gathered the team. "We can't fight them with weapons," she said. "But we can fight them with connection." She explained her idea, one last full bond. "Not just with Rick, but with all of them. Our energy, our feelings, our unity," she said. "If we share it, fully and freely, I can amplify it, and if I do that, I become a beacon. One they can't erase." The team hesitated. "No one's ever done that before." Said the medic, "You might die." Zira looked at them. "I'd rather die connected than live forgotten." The human spark, they formed a circle around her. Hands touching, hearts open. One by one, each person shared a memory. Pain, joy, regret, love, a lost mother, a childhood friend. A broken promise, a saved life. Zira's light grew with every story. She cried with them, smiled with them, held every feeling close. And then, something beautiful happened. Rick opened his eyes, slowly, quietly, and smiled. He sat up and joined the circle, took Zira's hand again. "I'm with you," he whispered. The room lit up like a star being born, and Zira once fading. Once abandoned rose like a flame. Her body was no longer just alien. It was light. Motion, emotion, truth, the clap that changed everything outside. The ships began their descent, weapons ready, no mercy in their code. But before they could fire, a wave of light burst from the colony. It wasn't just light, it was memory, feeling, connection, the kind the cleaners feared most. The kind that made empires fall and new worlds rise. The ships froze, their systems failed. They had no defense for soul. One by one, they turned, not destroyed, but transformed. Their black shapes dimmed, their signals faded, and then they left, not in anger, not in defeat, but in silence. The galaxy here, Sarah fell to her knees, exhausted but alive. Rick caught her in his arms. The crew surrounded them, not as soldiers, but as something more. As family, across the stars, the signal reached others. Alien girls woke from cold pods. Some cried, some laughed. All remembered, no longer inactive, no longer forgotten. The line had not ended. A new beginning. Weeks passed. Earth finally responded. They had seen the event from afar. They wanted to meet Zira, to learn, to connect. Rick stood beside her as the first Earth ship arrived. "You ready for the next chapter?" he asked. Zira smiled. "This time, I write it with friends." She looked up at the sky, where the stars now felt warmer, and whispered, "This is what a real clap feels like. Not fear, not power, but life shared."